Brazilian Nights, huh?
Oh, I was waiting for you to
Yes. Well,
come in.
I thought I would do it early.
Oh, okay.
Okay, all right. While
Well,
you
look
were
at you.
drumming away.
Oh, well, you know how it is. You got to hit on something.
I got it. Okay. Ha 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 ha.
All right.
Aren't you too cute?
Have a taste of this water.
Okay.
Pretty wet. Okay.
This is good.
As I was talking to you yesterday about the meaning of what all this is about. And one thing I've been asked by a couple of people is, why are you doing this? The reading from the book. Well, the first thing I'd like to say is, well, actually two things. First thing is that I enjoyed writing the stuff that I've been writing, the books, all 33 of 38.
Well, it's more than 33, I think, were published. 30.
Oh, the published,
Yes,
the published
you have
ones,
5
yeah.
that aren't published yet, but go ahead.
Okay. So, you know, my friend said, wait a minute. You mean to tell me that you've written all of these books and you're not better known than you are? And all I could say is that I don't know how well known I am or how well known I'm not known. But in order to try to rectify the known, unknown situation, I thought I would commence reading one book after another until I became better known.
Well, you know, let me add this, that Google Books has all of your books on Google Books.
Oh, is that right?
But they don't have your video of the books. They don't have you the reading of the books.
Oh, okay.
So
okay.
this way you one up the situation.
Yes.
Because, you know, some people are talking about they would love to hear an audio, and until some organization or publishing company steps up to the plate and wants to put your books on audio, this is the most reasonable way to do it.
You know, in this modern time, I'm very grateful for the public exposure you can get just simply doing what we're doing.
Yes.
So,
Thank you.
having YouTube my way into that,
Yeah.
let's The book is called Brazilian Nights, and I'm reading from chapter 7 of Brazilian Nights.
Yes. Oh, wait a minute.
Yes.
Did you read chapter 7 yesterday?
No.
No, we printed.
No.
We did chapter 6.
Yeah. No, I distinctly remember chapter 7 because she's starting off her writing career with Brother O.
Oh, okay. So it starts with Brother O.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, let's do it.
Any resemblance to creatures living or dead is purely coincidental.
I'm sure, said the writer.
Said the writer.
Odie Hawkins.
Chapter 7 of
Brazilian Nights.
Brazilian Nights. The warmth of the circle made her feel at ease, accepted. After weeks, Mestre Juizo was allowing the new students an opportunity to participate in their first roda. She entered the play with a kind of subdued joy. It was difficult not to be happy. What with the sounds of the birimbaus and the pandeiros and songs echoing above them. She didn't see the sweep coming, and for a moment she felt she was floating in the air, watching her feet sail in front of her eyes. She landed squarely on her butt, unhurt but shook by the experience. She stood to do the chamada de magia, pleased to be aware of what the next movement should be. Dinner with Brother O. I'm intercutting a lot because
That's life 101.
there's life going on, and she didn't just go one place and do one thing. Dinner with Brother O. She stared up at Brother O's face, loving and hating him for what he was doing with them. He made them, all of them, She realized that America was not the center of the world, and that deeply pissed off some of them. You're fucking radical, Mr. O, if you don't mind me saying so. No, Tommy. No, I'm not. I'm an African-American writer living in the U.S. Now let's finish these short stories and forget about what you think you understand about my political life. They were drawn to each other and finally unable to resist the magnetism, decided to surrender to the force. Mr. O, how about dinner with me tonight? Are you sure you can afford to feed me? I have expensive tastes. She took him to her favorite Thai restaurant, feeling quite comfortable with his reputation as a womanizer. I'm safe, unless he knows more about Capoeira Angola and Taekwondo than I do.
Mm-hmm.
So, this is the sister who's been everywhere and done everything. Or is it going everywhere and doing everything? Brother O doesn't seem to be quite as menacing up close as he is in class. Valonga, Brother O. They broke into simultaneous smiles. The chilled beer bottles were placed in front of them. I will bring you your meal shortly. You were about to say. No, ladies first. She rolled her eyes at him, a burlesque caricature of the coquette. If you insist, kind sir. I insist. I'm curious about you, about the life of a writer. Who were you before you became Brother O, and why? You get right to the point, don't you? I had no idea that you were taking me to dinner to punk me. I'm sure you must have had some suspicion that I was interested, surely. Well, why not tit for tat? What do you want to know? Their opening gambit, mutual interrogation, was interrupted by the waitress bringing their food. Your dinner is served. Looks good. As you see, it's not terribly expensive. Well, as Dad used to say, some of the best things in life don't cost anything. They semi-surprise each other by being expert chopsticks users. God, don't you just hate people who use chopsticks and don't know how? You put your finger on one of my favorite peeves. They took the edge off their hunger pains with a few mouthfuls of food and started back into the conversation. You were about to tell me about yourself. I was? She decided that she liked him. She liked the gleam in his eyes, his lack of pretension, his way of sparring with her. Yes, you were. It'll cost you another beer. And remember, tit for tat. You got that. He felt a tinge of chauvinism watching her signal to the waitress. It wasn't his thing, usually, to allow himself to be taken out by women, but he had felt the urge to approach the Valonga in a different way. He took a long sip of his beer and enjoyed a few bites of his food, pretending he had forgotten her question. You're about to tell me about yourself. Have you reneged? She was obviously serious. It was time for him to become serious. Yes, you were about to tell me how a writer is made. He took another long sip of his beer before answering. Well, I have to say first off that I think writers are born, not made. She spurred him on with a quizzical expression. He smiled at her subtle prompting. I know a lot of people would agree with me on this, but what can I say? It's my opinion. I know for certain that it isn't possible to write if you don't have the talent, and the talent isn't something that can be designed. What about writing classes? I mean, you mostly rip-offs, group therapy sessions. Yes, even mine. I know that there's a 90% likelihood that most of the people who come into my class will never develop into writers because they don't have the talent for it. Explain that a little more. Simple. Children who've learned the alphabet can write, but that doesn't mean that that doesn't make writers out of them. Let me give you my definition of what a writer is, what a writer does. She signaled to the waitress for another round. His eyebrows wrinkled his approval. He made a silent toast to her with the fresh bottle of beer. As you probably know by now, a writer is a very, very special sort of creature. As an artist, she becomes closer to being like a bullfighter than any other creature in the world that I can think of. Valonga leaned forward on the table, her pad thai temporarily forgotten. I know it strikes a lot of people in a weird way. What makes you say it that way? Make that kind of analogy. A film flared briefly in her brain pan. Manuel Arusa, Machete, flashed a smile, whirled a gorgeous red cape across the back of her brain and was gone. I wonder if Machete would equate bullfighting to writing. Are you familiar with the bullfight? Yes, strangely enough. I know quite a bit about the corrida. Good. Then I can get as technical as I want to get. Like I said, the writer, the bullfighter, is a special sort of creature. The bullfighter comes to his art with a cape and a sword. The writer with a pencil and an eraser. Well, in this day and age, he might have a little bit more technological stuff going on, but in the old-fashioned sense of the word, the writer has a beginning, middle, and an end, and he too faces death at every stage of the game. Of course, as you know, one of these artists is apt to be dealing with a more immediate death each time he goes into the arena. They exchange conspiratorial smiles. Was he talking about the bullfighter or the writer? Okay, now that I've taken you into the analogy, let's leave the Matador out of it for a bit. She felt the vaguest impulse to pull her notebook out and a ballpoint from her tote bag. The writer is this reckless creature with all the brains who's willing to take on one of the most savage beasts the world has ever known, the blank page. Valonga nodded vigorously, recalling her first week in Brother O's class. No matter how well armed the writer is, the blank sheet of paper can be the most dangerous, most intimidating factor he will ever have to deal with. As you know from reading the Masters, the real monster in the bull ring is not the bull, but the crowd. That's the way I feel about writing. The real monster is not the pen and paper, but you. You are your worst enemy, the real monster. At the beginning of your story, your play, your article, novel, whatever, many have slaughtered themselves without really knowing that's what they were doing. Needless to say, what I'm referring to is something called the beginning. I've seen strong men and brave women go down into defeat right at the beginning. They obviously are not writers. The writer would never surrender at the beginning. The beginning is going to make or break you. That's something we all realize and have to be prepared for. Were you sure of yourself when you first confronted the monster? Oh, yes, I was. Yes, I knew intuitively that I was going to be the master of the situation, no doubt about it. But that's the way the writer, the Matador, must think about the situation. And your faena, that middle section that forces you to put your best moves out there, what about that? Were you still in control? Brother O's eyes misted over for a moment. Yes, I gotta say yes. I don't know what it was that took me to the right place, helped me make the right moves, but it was there and I knew it. There were times when I felt like the old-time greats who used to ask people in the arena after he had performed some spectacular movements, am I not unique? You're talking about Carlos Arusa. Brother O fixed her face in his crosshairs, looked as though he were lining her up for a moment of truth. Shit, you really do know something about full writing, don't you? I told you. Please go on. Valonga saw a glitter shine up in Brother O's eyes. Was it the effect of the beer, the excitement of talking about his craft? Yes, that's the feelings of being unique. The honest people will always admit to that. It's like you're doing something in the world that nobody else even thought about doing. The restaurant had cleared out, leaving them in the afternoon to talk and drink beer. And the ending, the moment of truth, how does that fit your analogy? He took a moment to line his words up to profile his answer. Now, that's really where the analogy hits the nail on the head. She sprawled in her seat, watching him become the bullfighter who wanted to make the perfect kill. If everything has been done exceptionally well up to this point, it is always possible to blow the whole deal with an inept ending. How do you guard against that? To be honest, I have to say that I don't think it's possible to guard against that particular demon. I've often had the feeling that the ending, the kill, is something that's determined by forces outside of ourselves. That's a strange statement. I mean, we've been dealing with the writer as a creator, as one who has control of things, and suddenly you're taking me into spirits and stuff. Come on now, brother. Oh, are you pulling my leg? They shared the smile for a moment. Valonga, I know it sounds weird, but believe me, I'm not joking. It would be easy to say that the writer is in complete control from beginning to end, but I don't happen to feel that way. The ending for me is a kind of unusual death scene. And no one really knows how they're going to die. But what about this craft you're talking about? The right way to do this or that? Read my lips. What I'm saying, there comes a point, the end, that no amount of skill or intelligence can control. It's like death happening suddenly, and no one can predict when it's going to happen, when or why. The bullfighter can. You want to bet? And that's the end of chapter 7. Dun 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 dun. Dun dun dun. It's called the pants wedding song.
Yes, the pants wedding song. The alternate title. Alternative title.
Yes, that's
Why, thank you very much. I enjoyed that. That was short and sweet and unique.
We're going to get back at it tomorrow, and it'll
Okay.
be a little longer and hopefully still sweet.
Hopefully. I believe so. Well, the Brazilian Nights can be purchased at iUniverse.
Ah, yes.
At Amazon, Barnes & Noble. It also comes in an ebook, if you like. And the website for Odie Hawkins is www.odiehawkins.com.
That's
Let me
right.
see the book again, please.
Oh, sorry.
Yes. All right. This is Brazilian Nights, Chapter 7.
There you go.
Why, thank you. I've enjoyed this moment in time. And those who are looking at the video, if you like this video and the others on this channel, please subscribe and hit the like button below. Thank you very much. I'm looking forward to Chapter 8.
Thank you.
Oh, yes. I'm loving this little capoeira. I like that.
Hey,
The horn.
hey.
Hey, the bullfighting, a little bit of everything.
Every different thing's going to be
Okay.
Fight a little bit,
Okay.
little bit, write a little bit.
I mean,
Do a little
collage.
taekwondo, a little
Yes.
capoeira.
Reminds me of that thing that you looked in and all the colors.
Oh, what do they call it? The kaleidoscope.
Yeah, the kaleidoscope.
Yeah, that's right.
It's a kaleidoscope of a story.
You know, that almost came to my mind when I was thinking about the title. I started to call it kaleidoscope, but I was thinking, maybe it wouldn't relate to people in the way that I wanted it to.
Well, not everybody knows what a kaleidoscope is, but it's
Yeah.
quite a trip. If you have never looked through it. All right. Thank you very much, Odie Hawkins.
Thank you, Salena-Hawkins.
See you another moment in time.